You are listening to Inspired Caring with Michelle Magner, episode number 116. Hello, welcome to Inspired Caring. I'm your host, Michelle Magner. If you are caring for an older family member, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I bring insight, tips, inspiration, and strategies to help you care for the people that you love without losing yourself along the way. Having cared for both of my grandmothers, I've helped manage everything from hospital stays, households full of belongings, to navigating senior living and end-of-life care. And I've worked in senior living as a result of that experience, serving my residents and their families as they've been on this journey too. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Inspired Caring. Well, welcome, Michael Bianchi, to Inspired Caring. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. It's great to be with you, Michelle.
We met at a local Omaha networking meeting, and I was just really interested in what you are creating, the space that you are creating for seniors to connect and find fellowship and purpose. So would you just share a little bit about what that is?
Well, I'm an ordained minister, and a while back I was looking for ways to serve, and I got a call from a local senior citizens facility asking me to do church services for their residents. And I remember thinking, really, God, that's what you want me to do? I mean, that's not what I had in mind at all. But
Yeah.
I listened and started holding church services there. And let me tell you, these senior citizens have been such a blessing to my wife and I. It's been a wonderful experience. They're great people, and they have many needs beyond the physical and mental challenges that they face. We found they need a lot of spiritual and emotional support and encouragement. And really, most of them still need to grow spiritually and emotionally. So back in April, Michelle, I was in Texas visiting relatives and friends, and had lunch with some elderly friends who are dear to my wife and I, and found that they were really struggling at this time in their lives. And so I kind of thought and meditated over their situation. So I was inspired by that to start this new ministry that we call Up with Seniors. I don't know if you ever remember the movement called Up with People from a few decades ago. Well, that's kind of how I got the name, Up with Seniors. And so we launched in June, and we do a weekly Zoom meeting on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. And our goal is to uplift and encourage senior citizens.
Wow.
So we have different topics each week, and we encourage questions and thoughts from our participants. And this week, for example, our topic was, what purpose does my life now have? These are things that seniors wrestle with. And so we had excellent participation. And so far, even though we're new, we've had participants from here in Omaha and from Colorado and Texas and from the Philippines and Colombia and South America. So we hope to reach people around the world with an encouraging message. So.
And do you have to live in senior living to participate in this, or can anybody do it?
Actually, anybody can. We're all affected directly or indirectly by our aging population. And so no matter what our age is, we can all benefit and learn from what we're doing on Mondays at 7 p.m. And we record it so it can be played back at any time. We have a couple of senior centers who make a fellowship time out of it at a later time during the week that's more convenient for them, and they get several of their seniors together and put it on their big screen TV and have coffee and cookies or something, and while they watch what we discussed on Monday night. So a lot of times seniors are technology challenged, as I am too from time to time. And I used to own a computer company years ago, but so having a group participation and having a facility or a church or a community center facilitate this for them and put it up on the big screen makes it easy for them to participate in it.
Is there a fee associated with it or a cost or?
No,
No.
no, nothing at all. We don't do any fundraising. We're not a for-profit, and we haven't even registered as a nonprofit. It's just a service that we're offering for the seniors community, and there's no fees, no fundraising involved, nothing like that.
I really appreciate that you highlighted that in our later years, people are still growing and learning and are seeking spiritual and emotional enrichment and development, because I think there is this misnomer that at some point the work is done, right? At some point we have it all figured out at a certain age,
Right.
and that we don't need to learn anymore. And in my family, we definitely subscribe to being lifelong learners. So I guess I just would like to talk a little bit more about that, just in general, the importance of that, the value of it, because I think for my audience, so many people are in this family caregiver role. So they are helping either a spouse or an aging family member, parent, grandparent, so on. And I think sometimes we kind of lose sight. We get very focused on the tasks that need to be completed, or there's so many logistics around healthcare and things like that, that we start to lose a little bit of sight of how are people engaged in nurturing themselves. And I really thought it was so special to bring you on to introduce people to your work and to this. It's really a movement, right? The Up With People, Up With Seniors.
That's what we're hoping, yes.
Right. A movement around that hierarchy of needs for people and enriching people's lives in a different way. So I don't know, just what are some of the things as you've been talking with people that you're hearing from them that they feel like they're missing, and how this is filling in a gap for them?
It's been really an awakening for myself and for my wife at how much the seniors need this growth in their lives emotionally and spiritually. And in spite of reports to the otherwise, statistics and surveys show very strongly that spiritual support is very important to the mental health of senior citizens. In fact, the National Institutes of Health, which is not a Christian organization, says having a relationship with God and a sense of spirituality were some of the aspects cited by older adults as contributing to successful aging. And the Nursing Home Abuse Center said spiritual care for the elderly is an important part of the aging process. Religion, faith, and spirituality can improve physical and emotional health, as well as enhance the overall quality of life. So you can, search for those things on the internet and you'll find quite a bit of evidence. But our personal experience in doing church services and going and doing visitation with the seniors, I found some of these seniors have been in church for 70 plus years. They've been going to church. Mm-hmm. And some of them still have no idea what's going to happen to their lives after they pass, what's going to happen to their souls. And some of them still don't know what God expects of them or has expected of them all their lives. I've had one gentleman who said that, he's been in church again over 70 years and said he never really knew how to pray until we came and started working with them. And another lady shared that, she had no idea that she needed to forgive other people. And these may seem like little things, but they're really big things. And it's important to these seniors to have this spiritual input, spiritual encouragement, and foundation strengthened in their lives as they go through this time. And so, they've been a great blessing to us, but we feel like, it's really making a difference. And so,
Absolutely. And I think you touched on it. People that have been maybe attending a church or a congregation for decades still feeling a little bit lost. And, as our health situations change, or maybe we are less able to get out into the community, then isolation becomes a really big concern for people. And I just think this is such a lovely way for people to connect with other people. And it's hard as an adult to make friends. It's hard to find those spaces to have meaningful connection around important topics. And it just feels like this is a great platform to allow people to have that purpose of, like, when they get up in the morning, like, I'm going to clear up some of the cobwebs of multiple decades of church going.
Right.
And I'm going to be connecting with some new people in different parts of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been Up with Seniors, our Zoom meeting experience has been really neat. It's neat to have the people chime in and share their thoughts and ask questions. And basically, I can see them having fellowship with each other through this Zoom meeting, talking to each other, respecting each other, and, they're what's the word I'm looking for? Verifying each other, or, and so, they seem to really be enjoying it. So we're young yet with this ministry, but we have lots of hope for future growth. And we think can be a very valuable ministry, helping people, seniors, move forward, but also for non-seniors who are like me, and I'm a senior. Everything that the seniors are going through outside of their physical needs and all of the experiences they're having. And so it's great if you have aging parents or family members, or we're all affected, as I said, directly or indirectly. And so it's great to know how to relate to them, what they're going through, and help them through this process, this time in their lives. It's not so different Michelle, than helping teenagers mature through their teenage years. And seniors face a lot of the same issues. You mentioned isolation.
Yes.
Teenagers experience isolation. Seniors experience isolation. You know, abandonment is a feeling that some seniors feel because their children put them in a home somewhere or something, and they feel like they don't have that relationship with their family that they used to, and they feel abandonment and loneliness. And so these are real things to them, and real emotions and thoughts and concerns that they have, and they need this encouragement in their lives in order for them to have a healthier mental outlook on life at that time.
So you come up with a different topic each week. So as people are connecting and getting to know each other, like, what's the structure of the call or the structure of your time together? What happens if I decide to jump on Zoom? What can I expect?
Well, we always start out with an introduction, welcome everybody, and explain that everybody's welcome, whether they're a senior or not. And then I'll announce the topic of the day, and I'll sort of introduce the topic. I may read from a book, or I may have developed a topic from scratch for the week, as I did this past week, or yesterday, actually. But so I'll introduce it, and as I'm going through the bullets on this topic, I encourage them. I'll ask questions as we go through, and I encourage them to respond and answer the questions and bring in their own thoughts and experiences into the conversation. You know, and so we had really great participation just last night. Our topic was, what purpose does my life now have? And they were so involved in participating. I tried to keep these to 30 to 40 minutes, but we went almost an hour last night because there was so much enthusiasm and participation from the group about it. And then, once we get towards to the end of the topic for the evening, I'll do a prayer and quote some Bible verses. We always include them in the session, and ask for more comments and questions, and we close. And that's pretty much how it's structured there. And, I tell them it's their meeting, not mine. It's for them. And I encourage them to participate and ask questions, and just try to offer them encouragement about whatever the current topic is.
That's great. Do you feel like you're what is like a minimum age? Because you mentioned it sounds like anybody really is welcome to jump in on these calls and have this intergenerational experience, because we can learn from each other. I think sometimes we get a little stuck on the word senior. I am 51. In 4 years, I am 55. So I now qualify, I guess, for some senior discounts. So do you have any, what are my questions? My questions are, how do we encourage people to jump on the Zoom, even if they don't quite feel like a senior? Like, I keep saying, because I work with people who are in their 90s, right? And it's like, though, that group of people are just me in the future.
Right.
We're all connected. I hope so, right? We're all connected, and it's not really us and them. It's like, it's just humanity and aging and being together. So how do we encourage people to come to the call, even if they feel like, well, I'm not a senior? or that doesn't apply to me?
Mhm. Well, good question. I'm still working through that question.
Mhm.
I would say, I have a 13-year-old niece who would be more than welcome on the call, because she has senior grandparents and um and so from any age up where they can understand basically what a senior citizen is, and then I would think they could benefit and learn from being on the call and learning about some of the struggles that seniors go through, let's say their grandparents, and that way they'll have a better idea of how to actually be encouraging to their grandparents and other senior citizens.
So it sounds like you can learn from the people on the call so that you have a better way to engage with other family members. And if someone is, let's say, 50 years old and up, that there's just, it makes for interesting dynamic conversation to have different ages and backgrounds and experiences. But the focus really is on, again, engaging people that are in these senior years
Right.
of life, so that they are finding connection and community and purpose.
Sure. Yeah, we had two people on the call last night who are pre-seniors. And so, they were very active in participating and really seemed to get a lot out of the call themselves. So
Yeah.
it's really, there's no age limit involved, because just as we're all affected by every age group in our society, and we should all become more knowledgeable and helpful to the different age groups. Just like teenagers need our encouragement, so do senior citizens need our encouragement. So,
and then what I'm envisioning for my audience, really, because it can be hard if you're caregiving for somebody, it could sometimes be hard to get out of the house. So this would be an activity that people could really do together, is come to this call. And it could be interesting to see maybe your experience be happening in other places and other people's homes. So it can help develop some different thought processes, potentially, some empathy, some more connection of like, okay, well, we're not alone.
True.
Yeah.
We had one gentleman in Houston whose parents live in the country of Colombia in South America, and they were on the call together, and it was really interesting to see that dynamic and how they shared and just they encouraged each other. I think, and so that was really neat, and so we look forward to more interactions like that.
That's so great. Well, and stimulating conversation gives people something to think about other than their ailments, and the logistics of life. So it's really, as human beings, and you mentioned that at the beginning of our time together, that there are just real significant health benefits to be intellectually stimulated and to have these types of conversations and interactions.
Sure.
Yeah. How do people find you? I think we'll be able to put a link in the show notes so that people can reach out to you, but how do people get on this mailing list and this call?
Well, there's a website. It's mikesministry.com or www.mikesministry.com. We tend to drop the www anymore because it's standard for everybody, but they can go there, and there's a tab. It's called Up with Seniors, and they click on that, and they can join the meeting there and see recordings of previous meetings. They can also email me at michael@mikesministry.com. And you want my phone number?
No.
Okay.
Let's start with this and see what happens.
Okay.
I think I'm up to 3,000 listeners at this point.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
we want
Well,
to
that's
pace
good.
ourselves, but I think this is wonderful. Because I too, with technology, it's not that I'm not smart. I just get a little bit lazy about it. But I think most people at this point, we can navigate to a website. And I think people feel fairly comfortable with email. So they'll be able to get a hold of you. And I just want to reiterate and encourage people that regardless of our age, we need purpose and we need connection. And it sounds like having it layered with some spirituality has some real benefit to people. So to come and to check it out, because I think what you're doing is incredible. I think it's just wonderful. And I think that this is really going to, it's grassroots movements like this that are going to revolutionize how we are aging. Because we need the connection and community. It's so important.
Well, aging is just part of the process of life. Just as growing up, preschool is part of the process, going to our school years and teenage years, all of that's part of the process. Getting married, families, getting into the workforce, and doing all that, trying to make a difference in the world. But for some reason, people seem to take the elderly and put them in a box somewhere else. And
Right.
that's not really part of life anymore. But it's so much, there's so much life there. And, seniors want to know that their lives are still relevant to their families and to those around them. So if we can show them that we value their lives and value their thoughts, that's very important to them. So always be encouraging. And one thing I hear a lot from seniors is they don't want people to talk down to them. Evidently, that's fairly common. And so lift them up, be encouraging to them.
I love that. That's a beautiful, beautiful way to wrap up. Up with seniors. Thank you, Michael, so much for being with me today.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate the time.